Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you whether or not you should read the Cruel Prince series. Just basically filling you in on everything you need to know before you start the series. If you've read the series already, then make sure to subscribe. So on Thursday, I will be posting a spoiler review where basically I just give you all of my opinions about this series. I'm gonna start off by saying this is probably one of my favorite series I've ever read. I just really love it. So we'll start off with book one. The first half, like every fantasy book, is very much focused on like world building, introducing you to the characters. It took me a while to get into the first half, but the second half ate, and it was really good. At the end of this book, there is just like a massive plot twist. After I read it, I was like, I think this is going to be my new favorite series. I rated 4.5 stars just because of the first half. I know it had to be that way, so it wasn't a problem. There is another book in the series. It's called The Lost Sisters. It's a very short book. It's about like, I don't know, 20-30 pages long. You can only have it on ebook, though it's not an actual book. It is pretty good. It's in Jude's twins perspective, Tarim, and it's set after the first book. It's fine. It's nothing special. It's definitely my least favorite book in this series. Just a bit of extra information, so I wouldn't say you have to read that. The second book, amazing throughout. This is my favorite book in this series. I rate this 5 stars. The plot twist throughout this book, and at the end, I literally, after I finished this book, I was sat in silence, like with shock. Like I was just like, it ends in like such a shocking way, and there's so many like plot twists throughout the book, and you're like, wait, what? Third book, I think it's 5 stars. It ended things in the perfect way in my eyes. Everything just made sense, and I really loved just how it ended. However, there was a little bit like 3/4 through, I literally had to skip to the end just to make sure like it ended the way I wanted to. I was like, don't tell me this is a sad book, because I was so scared, because I was like, what is going on? I really loved it. I thought it was a perfect end to the series, and there's just so many moments in this book where I'm like, yes. The last one is more of a dive into Cardan's life and a bit of his past, a bit of his present, a bit of his future, all mixed up. I think I rated it like 4 or 3 stars. I don't know. I love it because of Cardan. You get to know this guy more, but also it was just really confusing, and you would read a chapter and you wouldn't know whether it's the past, present, or the future, because it didn't tell you when it was, and they all like, it was all mixed up. I just love it. All of the pictures, everything. I'm kidding, but like, kind of not. Read this if you love Cardan. You don't need to read it. It's just extra information about Jude and Cardan, but particularly Cardan. And there is a new book coming to the Folk of the Air series, so it won't be like a follow-up from this, but it will be about another character who plays quite a big role in this series. He's gonna have his own story. I don't really want to say too much about what that's about, but it's called The Stolen Heir. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard really good stuff about it, so I'm really excited to read that, and maybe you'll see a review from me sometime soon about that book. The main characters in this book, I literally love them. Jude, the main character, I literally never had a problem with her. She's a very strong female main character. And then the love interest, Cardan, he's kind of like sarcastic. He's an alcoholic. He's not an actual alcoholic, but like, he kind of is, but it's fine. And he is the prince of Elfhame, which is the world they're in. Jude is like a mortal girl, so she was born on Earth in our world, and something very tragic happened right at the beginning of the series, so that causes her to move to Elfhame, and she grows up in a very rich high-up family, so she goes to school with the prince and like other high-up people, but obviously everyone always kind of like looks down on her because she's a human, and humans in that world are used to be like servants and aren't really treated that nicely, and are like looked down upon as second-class citizens. So obviously Jude's life's already made like really difficult because she's got to manage like being a human. I do have to say about this book series, a lot of people always put it down as a romance, and yes, there is romance aspect in this series. Cardan and Jude's relationship is a part of this book. However, a major part of this book is about like fantasy and war, like like, I don't know how to explain it. Romance is not the main plot, it's a subplot, and I feel like a lot of people go into this book expecting it to be a romance and expecting lots of romance features because they see all of the romance features all over TikTok, when actually in reality there is very much little romance throughout the book, especially in the first book. But it's one of those series where you don't need the romance at all. Some people have said, you know, they've gone in for the romance and they've been happily surprised. The main plot is about Jude and building herself up and becoming this powerful character that she is, about conflict in the world and fantasy. So if you like fantasy, also if you want to get into fantasy, I think it's a really good series to read because it's like, I don't think it's too much fantasy. I don't think it's too confusing in my eyes. There's a lot of characters you'll love, a lot of characters you will despise. It's just a very never-ending tale of plot twists, shock, excitement, romance, love, drama, torture, everything you could ever need in a fantasy series. My favourite character in this whole series obviously has to be Jude or Cardan. Them two together, them two just as characters in this book are amazing. Also, another thing, on TikTok everybody's always like, oh my gosh, I read The Cruel Prince and I didn't expect the prince to be cruel. What did you expect then? Because I went in fully knowing he was going to be cruel just by the title of the book. But he's cruel and you're a bit like, oh, I don't really like him. Trust me. Carry on reading, finish the series, and then come back to me because you will love him. He is one of those characters, has a lot of character development, but it's not really character development necessarily. It's just more like, because it's all really in Jude's point of view, it's you find out more information about him that you slowly learn to love him and forget about like his cruelness. He does kick dirt in her food. He does do some other things that what the hell? But we love him for it. I really do recommend this series and I think you should all give it a go. And if you give it a go, make sure to watch my video on Thursday where I will be talking non-stop about all of the plot twists, everything that happened in this book, and we can all share our opinions in the comments about that. If there's any other questions you have about this book series, make sure to comment them and I will try and reply to you. Goodbye.